Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do 6.3b today. We're going to talk about compositions of functions. So this is just a continuation of our math operations with functions, but we're going to learn a new task today. So I'm actually going to use kind of a cool example, and I'm going to ask you to think about a pasta machine. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen one, but you can make dough. So here's my dough. It's a nice round ball of dough. I can flatten it out into dough, and I can feed it into the machine, and then the blades in it will kind of cut pasta on the other side. So it's really kind of a cool toy. All right, so now let's talk about it a little bit more in depth. So let's say I had flattened out some dough. So that's going to be my dough. Bad handwriting, sorry. And I'm going to run it through my pasta machine. And the blades that I have put in it are going to give me linguine on the other side. And linguine is like spaghetti noodles except it's flat. So now I'm going to get linguine. Well, then I decided I'm a fickle female and I'm going to change my mind, and I'm going to run it back through the machine again. And I'm going to put in a different blade, and now on the other side I'm going to get curly pasta. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So I put in some flat dough, ran it through the machine with a certain set of blades, and I get linguine. Take that linguine, run it back through the machine with different blades in it, and now I get curly pasta. It doesn't really work that way, but kind of that way. It also works kind of if you think about a Mr. Potato Head, AOE head. And remember, you could put Play-Doh in and then squish it, and it would come out and look different ways. So now what I'm going to do is apply this process to algebra. Okay? So I'm going to go back and add some things to my machine. This is going to become my input. Okay? So I'm going to put that into the machine so it becomes my input. My first machine is going to be my first function. And then I have to come down here, sorry. That's going to give me an output. Well, then that output is going to become the input. Okay? So that output becomes the input now. I run it through a new machine, and then I get an output on the other side. So this is basically what a composition is. Okay, so I'm going to have a composition of functions. So it's kind of a cool way to think about it. And anytime we can talk about food, that always makes us really happy. All right, so now let's see what it looks like if I do it with math. I write a composition like this, okay? And the words for that would say this is f of g of x, okay? So that would be how I would say that math. Or I could write it g of f of x. So I would say that g of f of x. All right? There's another way that we can write this, but we will get that in another chapter. All right, when I'm doing a composition mathematically, you always want to start on the inside. Okay, and for us, in this one, the inside would be the f of x, and on this one, the inside would be the g of x. So I'm going to start on the inside parentheses. And I think the easiest way to show you a composition is to just start doing a couple of examples. All right, so let's just jump right in. In this particular example, my f of x is going to be equal to 3x minus 8. And my g of x is going to equal 2x squared. So those are my different pasta blades. Okay, if you want to think about it like that. And I'm going to do two different compositions. I want to find f of g of x, and then I want to find g of f of x. Now those two things are not often the same thing. Occasionally they are, but oftentimes they are not. So I'm going to start with this one first, and then I'll turn my page. Okay. So If I slide that up a little bit so I have room, I'm going to start on the inside. So here's my outside, and I'm going to put what g of x is on the inside. And so there's my g of x. So now this becomes the input into this machine. So now I'm going to take my f of x machine, which was 3x minus 8, and I'm going to put this value in everywhere there's an x in this particular machine. So now I'm going to have 3 times 2x squared and then minus 8. So notice I've taken this input and I've put it into this machine. Now I need to simplify that math. So I'm going to have 6x squared minus 8. There are no other terms to combine, and that would be the composition of f of g of x. Okay? Now I'm going to do it the other way. I'm going to do g of f of x. Okay? So now if I start on the inside, my f of x is the inside. So that's the 3x minus 8. So now this becomes my new input into this function. So this is going to be 2 times 3x minus 8 quantity squared. And I'm going to expand this. You could expand it with a box if you needed to. I'm just going to expand it. Square the first term, 9x squared. Multiply those two together, a minus 24x, and double it, minus 48x. Square the last term. Okay? And then I would need to distribute that too, so I would get 18x squared minus 96x plus 128. And that is my answer to that composition. Notice they're not nearly the same expression. Sometimes they are, but oftentimes they are not. All right. Let me do the next example for you. So again, I just have 2 or 3 examples for us. Okay? All right. Not a very long lecture again today. This one's just a little bit more entertaining. So here's 4x, and then I'm going to have g of x is equal to 5x minus 2. And again, I want to find f of g of x, and then I want to find g of f of x. Okay? So I'm going to start with, way out of focus, so sorry. I'm going to start with the f of g of x. So here's my f. My g of x is 5x minus 2. Now I'm going to do that math. This becomes the input into this function. So I put this in everywhere there's an x, so it's going to be 4 times 5x minus 2. Now I simplify. This is 20x minus 8. And that one's done. So that was very polite. Now if I do the next one, g of f of x, okay, here's my outside. Now my inside is 4x. That becomes the input into my g function. So here's the 5, there's the 4x, that's my input, minus 2. Simplify that math, and I get 20x minus 2. They're similar, but not the same. All right, so now let's do one that's a little bit more fun. All right, my f of x is going to equal 2x plus 3. My g of x is going to equal 3 over x plus 1. And then my h of x is going to equal x plus 5 over 2. So I'm going to do a variety of compositions. Okay? I want to find, and I'll just write them up here, f of g of x. There's the first one. Then I want to find g of f of x. And then I want to find h of f of x. And then the last one is going to be g of x. And I know that looks weird, but the math is kind of fun. And this, excuse my bad handwriting, I'll scribble that out, is a 3. Maybe that's better. All right, so let's start with the first one, f of g of x. So this is going to be f of, and my g is 3 over x plus 1. So now I'm going to substitute this in for that x, so it's going to be 2, and then times 3 over x plus 1. Remember, that's really a 2 over 1. When I multiply fractions together, the top multiplies together and the bottom multiplies together. So this is going to be 6 over x plus 1. The first one is done. Whew! All right. Okay. Oh, did I do that right? F. Oh, no, I didn't. Sad day. I'm going to scratch that out because I was a slacker. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to scratch that out too. All right. I forgot to do my 3. Sometimes math mistakes happen, so let's go back and do it correctly. So here's the 2, and I'm going to multiply by 3 over x plus 1, and then there's the 3. Such a bummer. So now it starts similar, so I'm going to have 6 over x plus 1 plus 3. Well, I need to add this expression to this expression, but I can't add those two together unless they have the same denominator, so I'm going to multiply this little number by x plus 1 over x plus 1. This is 1, so I haven't changed the value of the equation. So this is going to equal 6 over x plus 1 plus 3x plus 3. I'm distributing the 3 over x plus 1. Now my fractions have the same denominator, so I can add 6 plus 3x plus 3 over the x plus 1, and I get 9 plus 3x over x plus 1. And I could rewrite it in standard form to make it look better. And now I'm done. Whew, sorry, that was almost a fatal flaw. All right, now let's do the next one, g of f of x, okay? So I'm going to do g of, oops, sorry, I guess you can't see that. There's my g, and I know you can't see what you were given, but you should have it written down in your notes. Okay, so my f of x was 2x plus 3, and I'm going to substitute that into my g, so I'm going to have 3, there's a 3, over the x is now 2x plus 3 plus 1, okay? Alrighty, simplify that math, and I have 3 over 2x plus 4. There's nothing else I can do to that one, so that's my final answer for that one. All right, next problem, I'm going to do h of f of x. So I'm going to do h of my 2x plus 3. Okay, and now I'm going to substitute that into my h of x, and my h of x was x, which is 2x plus 3 plus 5 over 2. If I simplify this, this is 2x plus 8 over 2. All of those terms have a 2 in common, so 2 goes into 2x, x, 2 goes into 8, 4, and then there's my answer for that one. All right, let me get us a new page, and we'll do our last composition. And the last one was g of x, and this is the one that looks kind of weird. So now I'm going to do g of my g, where is my g? Is 3 over x plus 1. So now I'm going to do 3 over x plus 1 plus 1. Okay, so I know it looks kind of weird. My g was 3 over x plus 1. The x now becomes the input, which is this. So now I need to manage the denominator first. I need to add these two things together. So I'm going to multiply this by x plus 1 over x plus 1. Okay, so here's the 3 in the top. Here's the 3 over x plus 1. And here's the x plus 1 over x plus 1. Now I can add the fractions together in the denominator, so I'm still leaving the numerator alone. So I have 3 plus x plus 1 over x plus 1. Remember, when you add fractions, the denominators just stay the same. Okay? Alrighty. Now I'm going to simplify. So here's the 3. 3 plus 1 is 4 plus x over x plus 1. Remember, I can't simplify this because it has a plus sign in the middle, so this is done. But if I have a fraction divided by a fraction, I multiply by the reciprocal. So there's the numerator, and then I'm going to flip the denominator, and I'm going to rewrite it. So now I have 3 times x plus 1 over x plus 4. One last step, I'm going to distribute that 3, so this is going to be 3x plus 3 over x plus 4, and woohoo, I'm done. Alrighty. Let me give you your problems. Sorry, I still sound like a frog. Okay. In these particular problems, sorry, bad grammar, your f of x is going to be 3x plus 2. Your g of x is going to equal x squared. And your h of x is going to equal a negative 4 over x plus 3. All right. So I want you to find the compositions and simplify. Okay? Alrighty. So the 4, your first one is h of g of x. Your second one is h of f of x. The third one is f of g of x. And the fourth one is going to be g of h of x. Alrighty. Good luck with your problems, and we will go over these tomorrow in class.